What's going on, everybody, and welcome to our first influencer interview. You guys all know me, but in this series, I'm going to be doing interviews and just kind of talking about the Islanders with people whose followings are way out of my league. And hopefully, we can have a fun time talking to some people and just sharing stories. So, hopefully, you guys enjoy. If you do, go down below and like and subscribe. And we're just going to get this started. So, today, we have an Islander fan page that I have been following for a little while. This is one of a few that I have planned coming up, and we are here with New York Islanders fans, otherwise known as Harrison. Hello.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me on.
No problem. Thanks for coming on. So he is going to be here, and we're just going to talk like a couple fans, and hopefully his followers and my followers alike enjoy. This is the first
Sounds
installment, and we're just going to have some fun with it. All right? So you are going to have some of your followers who want to know some things about you. So I thought I'd give you a quick interview before we just start, talking about the Islanders.
All right, great.
All right, so let's just get down to the basics here. Like, what made you want to do this? Like, you're an Islander fan, a young Islander fan. What made you decide to start this channel on Instagram?
Yeah, yeah. I started back in 2014, and it's actually interesting. I started in June of 2014, so during pretty much the end of the season. I'm not sure if I remember it was the year the Kings won the cup, but I can't remember if it was still going on when I started. So it's an interesting time to start because obviously there's not that much going on with the Islanders. But I'd always been a fan and loved following the team, and I think I just followed a lot of accounts on Instagram, and I kind of wanted to try it out, and I don't know if that would be a week-long thing or just like a random hobby, but then it's still going now in 2020, so it turned into much more than I would have expected. But back then had horrible graphics, didn't know what to write, and so it's come a long way. So I think I guess I just started it based on how much I like the team and love following them. So yeah, now here we are.
Yeah, and it absolutely got you a following. You're up to 5,000 followers.
Yeah, almost. Need around 50 more, but looking forward to hitting that milestone hopefully soon.
Yeah. Well, you obviously worked really hard for it. How do you think, what do you think draws people in about this?
I think what I've definitely learned from doing this is you have to, in order to build, you have to, first off, graphics have to be good, which my graphics have improved a lot. I used to do them on my phone. Now I do them on Photoshop. And also I think just that volume of posts, and also, you don't want to overload people's feeds, but at the same time you have to be very consistent, or else, you're going to kind of fall behind. So whether that be posting every day or posting, it kind of depends what part of the season you're in. Obviously, if it's in the season, there's more posts than the off season, which we're in now. So I think that making sure to keep everyone updated, not miss games, not miss, storylines or whatever it may be. And I also think the, stories weren't around when I first started, but stories has become a big way of getting news across without necessarily overloading my feed. So I think using stories as well as, a consistent amount of posts, and obviously having aesthetically pleasing looking graphics, I think all that combined kind of helps draw people in and helps grow a following.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you seem to have it down. Is it hard, doing it all the time, doing it daily, during the season when you're doing games and previews and reviews and all that kind of stuff on your Instagram, and then also posting during the game?
Yeah, at times I'd say, especially recently, as I'm getting older and have other responsibilities, it's sometimes can feel like a bit of a chore because, now I have pretty much 5,000 people relying on me to post news and stuff. And I also want to make sure to get content out as quickly as possible because that's part of, I guess you could call this reporting. You have to be the first of the story, or something like that in that time frame. So
Yeah.
I think sometimes it can seem a bit of a chore. Like if I'm watching an Islander game while everyone's celebrating a playoff win or something, or I'm on my laptop trying to get this graphic ready to post the second the game ends.
Yeah.
So it's definitely um, a bit of a chore, but at the same time, I can't picture myself watching an Islander game and not covering it. So it's something I've gotten so used to, and obviously it's something I like doing, or else I wouldn't still be doing it. I think one of the hardest things to do is if I'm actually at the game, because then I have to switch over to do my graphics on my phone instead of on my laptop. So I think that can be hard sometimes because it's harder to operate on the phone. But again, that's something I've gotten used to, and I make sure to prepare beforehand before I go to the game so that I'm ready to get posts out at the game.
Yeah. Well, it's obviously working out. Wait, you said when you go to the game, do you go to a lot of games?
Yeah, I do. We used to have season tickets when the team was fully at Barclays Center. I actually live in the city, so it's convenient for me. Now, obviously, right now, nobody can go to games, but hopefully soon. But yeah, definitely went to a lot of games in Brooklyn. Also, more so on the weekends, but would still go to the Coliseum a few times, and playoff games are always fun. So definitely been to a good amount of games over the years.
Oh, I wish I could have season tickets, but Barclays Center for me is pretty iffy. Like some things about Barclays Center I don't really like. Definitely in Belmont though, I'm gonna wanna get some season tickets. But what do you think of Barclays Center?
Yeah, I mean, I was one of the few people that enjoyed it just because of how easy it was for me to get to. But everything else, it just doesn't feel the same as the Coliseum, whether it be, it's just like at times I would go on like a Tuesday night against Vancouver and you could hear a pin drop in there. It was so quiet and so many empty seats. It's almost like embarrassing as a fan of a professional sports team, in New
Yeah.
York. So it was hard, and obviously the obstructed views, and it's because I have been to Barclays Center for other events like a Nets game or concerts, and it's not really the venue that's bad. It's just not meant for hockey, because Barclays Center is a great building. It's just not right for hockey, and luckily the Islanders were able to realize that as well, and now Belmont should be great.
Yeah. Belmont looks beautiful from what I've seen of the graphics and stuff. Looks like
Yeah,
it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, it looks really good. I mean, I think it was June, I took a drive there with my dad, and we went to just look at the construction site, and now they've made so much more progress than we were there when we were there. But I think it's gonna be amazing, and credit to the ownership for addressing everything the fans have asked, and they've been taking fans on tours of the construction site, and from everything I hear, it's going to be incredible. So I'm definitely excited to see that. Hopefully we'll be allowed in by the time it opens.
Yeah. I think we should. I think this will be the transition year where everything slowly unfolds. But hopefully, at least by the playoffs. Like if by the playoffs we can have some fans, that'd
Yeah, I
be
mean, that would be great. I
yeah.
hope so. I mean, I think they're going to gradually, it depends. It's so hard to predict because anything can change on a dime. But I think as the season starts, I think there could be very limited capacity, and then gradually increasing, and who knows? We'll see what happens by the playoffs, if they even make the playoffs. Nothing's guaranteed. So
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be a really weird year.
yeah, definitely.
Definitely. But yeah, we don't. It's not even really guaranteed that we're gonna even have the band back together because of all the cap issues right now. Have you kept up with that?
Yeah, I have. I mean, one thing I've learned so far in the few years that Lou Lamoriello has been leading the team is that he takes his time with everything, and I think we're seeing that right now. There's not. What are we now? I guess the times don't really sync up to what we're used to being in July. Now we're in October.
We're basically in late July. That's
Yeah.
pretty much where we are, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess we could consider this late July, and typically rosters are being finalized, but right now there's a lot. Matt Martin's unsigned. They said he's likely going to be back, but I just feel like in order to do it, like Lou takes his time to actually do it. Corey Schneider seems like weeks ago that he was rumored to be signed, and Lou even said, yeah, that's likely, but he still, it hasn't been formally announced. And they say Andy Green likely will be back.
Oh, so you think
that hasn't been announced?
So you think he has a plan for absolutely everything and is just holding back?
I don't know if it's that he's holding back. I think he just takes his time, and yeah, I mean, I definitely think he has a plan for things. I don't, think he has.
All right, we're back. Little technical difficulty. So we were talking about how Lamoriello hopefully has a plan up his sleeve, but he's usually slow to get things done because he just makes sure that everything is properly planned out. But yeah, do you have anything else to add on that? Because it seems almost impossible that everything's going to come together right now.
Sorry, you got cut off for a second there again. I didn't hear the first part of the question.
I said, do you think that he really does have a plan up his sleeve? Because right now it looks almost impossible that anything's going to come of it.
Yeah, no, I think he definitely has a plan. I mean, all these teams have plan A, B, C, and D lined up, and I don't think he's like, this is exactly what we're going to do, but he's more like, this is what we'd like to do, and if this doesn't happen, then we'll do this. And so I think he and the whole organization, it's not just Lou, there's a lot of people in the front office that don't necessarily get mentioned, but they all, I assume, have a plan. And Barzell will be back, people, Pullock will be back, just a matter of when and how they solve these negotiations, and hopefully they'll be able to move some cap. So
yeah, I feel like the cap situation's horrible. Like between the Boychuk contract and the Ladd contract, that's totally not even on the team. It's just it doesn't look promising. I think Boychuk's a little more movable than Ladd is, but the fact that Ladd's contract is even there is what's holding us back. Just the Ladd contract being off the books could totally fix almost everything.
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt, that contract is really brutal just because, he doesn't play. He's always hurt, and when he's healthy, he's a healthy scratch. So
exactly.
That's tough. But, I mean, I don't think he traded Taves just for those picks. I think he plans on trying to move those picks with a Boychuk or a Komarov or a Hickey. I don't think he's going to be able to move Ladd, but one of them to maybe clear up some cap space. And, we've heard Boychuk's name and Komarov and Hickey all mentioned as possible. They're definitely being discussed in trade talks, but, whether, you can't fault a team if they don't want to take one of those contracts on, because, I certainly wouldn't. Obviously, teams in rebuilds might, be in a better position to do so, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. But I'd be surprised if he really just traded Taves for those two picks and wasn't able to move those two picks to clear up some cap space.
So you think those two picks are probably going to be a sweetener somewhere?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I hope, to be honest, because the Islanders don't need these picks right now. I know their prospect pool is not, as good as it was, but I think it's still decent enough, and I think that, they're a team that needs to win with this group of players and not necessarily build through the draft. So I think they're more in win now mode, and I think that by using those picks to clear up cap space, that would, be in their best interest.
Well, I think that hopefully if they can possibly move Boychuk, they don't have to retain salary, so maybe those draft picks will continue toward, account for some kind of extra money.
Yeah. I mean, I would hope that would be the case, and it's not going to be easy to get rid of Boychuk, especially for the players. They're very close with him. He's really liked in the locker room. So that won't be easy, but that's the business part of it. That you got to do what you got to do. So
Yeah, definitely. And I think as much as Lamorello's got some problems, I think Barry Trotz has some problems of his own if we don't get everybody back. So I think a lot rests on this offseason and next offseason because Beauvillier is up next offseason. I think Cizikas is up. Maybe he has another year after that. But I think a lot of the rest of the core is up next season too.
yeah, Pellick.
Right, that's who I was thinking of. Yeah, Pellick
Yeah.
and Beauvillier are up next season.
Yeah, so there's just, a bunch of guys are going to need to get paid. So the Islanders need to, find ways to move cap. And, they do have some contracts coming off in the next couple of years, but, there's a lot of young guys that are going to want some money. So,
Yeah, 100%. I just don't know how they're gonna put it in, like how they're gonna make it work because next year still got Ladd, so I don't know how you move that next year. It's just a whole lot of craziness, but I don't know how it works out.
I mean, with Ladd, I honestly think that the best way to try to get rid of him is by playing him and hoping that he can go out there and show that he can, you know, play and stay healthy, I guess. And maybe, when he played that one game in the playoffs, I didn't think he was horrible. I thought he, obviously, the storyline, he was on the ice at the end of the game for that late goal by Kucherov. But, I like the way he plays when he's healthy. He's physical. Obviously, he's not worth the money he makes. But when you can put that aside and just look at how he plays, he hits, he stands in front of the net, he, forechecks. I mean, he's old, he's a little slow, but I don't think he's horrible to be in the lineup. But the
No,
problem is, finding a team that would be able to think that because there's no room for him to play on the Islanders, and when he finally gets the chance, he seems to always get hurt. So
yeah, definitely. But I feel like Andrew Ladd, the fact that he used to be a really good player in the league and now he's not, kind of makes everything so much worse because it's not like we overpaid him. It's that we accurately paid him at the time and then he just dropped.
yeah, I mean, I think that contract when it was first given out still was a little. It almost seemed like Garth Snow was trying to. He was panicking a little because they lost to Poso and Nielsen and Martin, who obviously they got back, but I think he was trying to make up for that and, gave out this huge contract with a lot of incentives for Ladd. I mean, I think at the time it didn't look horrible. It didn't look great, but it didn't look horrible. But now, obviously, it looks
Now it's one of
bad.
the worst contracts in the National Hockey League.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I don't know, but I feel like that money could easily go to stars like Barzal and Pulak and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, well, in a perfect world, obviously, but
Yeah,
that's the business. You gotta find somewhere to put those other contracts first.
yeah, deal with the hand you're dealt.
Yep.
But yeah, another thing that I don't understand is why they're still waiting on Barzal because there's so many different things that could have been done already. He could have already signed a bridge contract for like $5 million for 2 years. He could have already sat down with Lou and Lou goes, "I'll give you 8 times 8." Okay, handshake. That's it. Why hasn't that happened?
I mean, I think that's kind of what I was going back to before with how Lou just operates, very slowly and makes sure to check every box. And I think part of it might be he's waiting to see, what happens with everyone else, to see what type of contract he can give Barzell. I mean, I'm sure they obviously have been in communication and have things worked out. And I'm sure right now, I'd honestly expect that it's just like, here's what would happen if this happens, here's what would happen if that happens. So I don't think it's that they're necessarily fighting over the money, but I think because also Barzell's not arbitration eligible, so I think it's just a matter of let's see what happens with everyone else. Maybe they want to wait till they sign Pullock, and who knows. So I think there's just a lot that they still have to do this offseason, and they're just waiting till, everything falls into place.
Yeah, because I do remember hearing about how Barzal was asking for around 9, and Lou was countering with 7.5. Which one do you think is more accurate? Like, which one do you think he deserves more? You think? You think
I would
he's
rather
good for
be
9?
closer to. I think it also depends on the term. I think if you get him to sign an 8-year deal for 9 per, I think I would rather it be 8x8, but I don't think that's horrible to lock him up for 8 years at 9 per. But I have a feeling the contract's going to be more in the 5-year range, and then maybe we'll see it more in the high 6s, low 7s.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like they'll settle probably somewhere between 8 and 9, but that's pretty much all of our cap space as of right now. So
Yeah,
we'll have to see. But yeah, that's a lot. But I feel like after a playoff run like they had, he's a little more warmed up to coming back.
Well, I mean, he's a restricted free agent. He's going to come back. It's not really like he can leave. And if someone does offer sheet him, which they won't because of the amount of draft picks they'd have to give up, then Lou will likely match it. But, I mean, it's not really his choice. And I think he does genuinely like this team and being here. So.
Yeah, well, he's the guy. Like in New York, he's the guy.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll have to see. But speaking of that playoff run, that's the farthest the Islanders have gone in the playoffs since 1984.
Yeah, in both of our lifetimes.
Yeah. So what does that feel like for you? Like, I know how it felt like for me because my dad would always tell me, they've sucked for so many years. This is horrible. I'd hear him yelling in the other room at the Islander game. But how did it feel for you watching them take step by step by step to get to where they got to last year? After everybody said they'll never get back to the Cup, they'll never anything. Because they're the Islanders, they're not the Rangers. So,
yeah.
How'd that make you feel?
I think, to be honest, as great as this whole run was this season, something about it still felt a little weird because obviously, in the bubble and it was the middle of August and, with no fans and we're in a pandemic. I think something for me, obviously I was really happy about it, but I think at the same time, part of me was like, I wish this was a normal year,
Yeah, because it takes away from the experience a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And they've never gone that far in my lifetime. I was like, I wish I could be there,
Yeah, absolutely. I would 100% have wanted to be there. Once they made it to the conference finals, there's no way I wouldn't have gone.
Yeah, and I think deep down I wanted them to not win the Stanley Cup as much as, that sounds weird because
I get you.
It just would have been so weird this year. So
it would have been weird and it would have been questionable.
Yeah,
because
they
weren't supposed to make
fans. It. Yeah, and then everyone talking about how it's an asterisk and
yeah. I wouldn't have put an asterisk next to it, but I would have treated it differently. Not I wouldn't have treated it any less, but I would have treated it differently.
Yeah.
And but I think if they had either gone to the Cup final or won the Cup, which by the way they would have won the Cup if they had beaten Tampa. Yeah. I could pretty much say against the Stars it was kind of game over, but if they had gone to the Cup final and or won the Cup, that makes the future even better because now they have the experience going all the way. Because now they still have another step to go. Because I feel like you have to get deep in the playoffs and lose before you can win a Cup. I feel like you just need the experience.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, I think that it was a good experience for them, and then, hopefully they could build on that.
Yeah. I even said for most of this season, which was like a year and a half ago now, but for most of the regular season, I was like, it's not their year yet. I think a couple years. And and then when they got into the playoffs, I was like, yeah, we'll see what happens. And then everybody thought the Panthers would beat their butts, and then they didn't. And then I was like, okay. And then Everybody thought the Capitals would beat them, and they didn't. And I was like, okay. And then everybody thought Philly would beat them because Philly's a superpower and Philly runs over everybody. And then we almost blew it, but we beat them. And then I was like, oh, don't tempt me with this cup win. And then we lost in 6.
Yeah. No, exactly. I mean, I think that shows, Barry Trotz and how he had them.
He's huge.
Ready, because no coach knows how to do that and come back from a 3-month break or 4-month break and then go right to the playoffs. So
yeah, I think Trotz has been a huge part of their success. The management has gotten so much better, and I think that's a huge plus.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. But if we look ahead to the future, there's something huge happening next season that we know is going to happen. We have Ilya Sorokin getting in here.
Yeah.
Have you looked at his stats in the KHL? He is a beast.
Yeah, I mean, I try to not think about it because I don't know if that really can translate. Like, I don't want to get too excited by it, but at the same time, I mean, it's hard to ignore those stats.
Yeah.
Because obviously he's, they've called him the best goalie outside of the NHL for many years, and now he'll finally be able to be in the NHL. So hopefully it works out, but I don't want to,
Yeah, I have a video on it.
Superstar yet before, he's still never played a game in the NHL, so we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I have a video on it, and at like 21 years old, he had a .950 save percentage and a 1.06 goals against average in 40 games.
Yeah, I mean, that's
what?
Crazy. Yeah.
That's ridiculous. And yes, that's an outlier season. Most of them are in the 930s. But the fact that he even ever did that is crazy.
Yeah, definitely.
But, yeah, it's going to be really, really cool. Next season's going to be huge. Next season's going to be a rough time,
Hopefully
though.
It'll be normal-ish,
If Pelech cannot get injured, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. We'll see what other types of moves they make. I think, they have to sign their guys and maybe somebody else outside of the organization, but we'll see.
Yeah, because the prospect pool was really good last season, but now if they bring Wallstrom and Bellows up full time, I think that's kind of it for the prospect pool. What do they got? They got Jobst. They got Jobst, Holmstrom, and then they got
defensemen.
Yeah, and then they got. Why isn't Hickey getting NHL time anymore? He wasn't that bad, as I recall, when he was up.
I mean, I think, he had injuries, and then, there's just so many guys at that position that,
Yeah, you think
they tried to move him, but they couldn't.
You think they can, if they move Boychuk out, is he the next in line, or do they?
I mean, I think they're gonna try to bring Green back as the 7th guy, and then move Dobson. Or, well, I guess if Boychuk leaves, then because they got rid of Taves, so then Green would be in the top 6, and maybe Hickey would be number 7.
If Boychuk leaves, it's Leddy, Pelech, Pulak, Dobson,
Green, Dobson,
and then Green, and then you still need one more, right?
Boychuk, Pelech, Pulick, Green, Dobson is your 6.
Yeah, and then Aho is your 7th, which is fine.
Hickey. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would honestly expect them to give that to Hickey.
I think Hickey belongs in the top 6, though. I think he always has.
Think Green, it's hard to judge right now because he hasn't played in the NHL in a while. But
well, because I think next year I would still like to see Green and Dobson flipping in and out. I don't know.
I think it's time
from what I've seen
Dobson to be an everyday player. Honestly.
Well, from what I've seen of Dobson, he's very inconsistent still. So
I mean, I think he's made strides, and can you blame him for being inconsistent when he goes in and out of the lineup? So I think,
and he's young as hell.
Yeah.
So
and Lou also said that they feel like he's ready.
Yeah, I'd like to see it, but whenever I'd watch him, I feel like every time he'd make a pass, I'd be like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can't judge him on one playoff game, but I think he looked good in that one game.
Oh yeah. I was actually telling my dad about that because we were talking about how annoying Dobson could be sometimes. and I was like in the playoff game. It was pretty good. I didn't see too much wrong with his game in that. Taze though, I'm not glad he's gone, but I feel like it's not that big of a blow because he'd be the kind of guy
in the playoffs.
Yeah, he'd be the kind of guy where he wouldn't want to get hit, so he wouldn't skate. He'd either make a pass way too soon, and it'll be a suicide pass, and it'll come the other way, or he won't skate to the red line, and he'll just dump it.
Yeah.
And I feel like he was guaranteed to do that once or twice a game.
Yeah, I mean it happens a lot, and I mean he was a great player, and he's still young too. But
yeah,
I don't think it hurts them as much as people were making it seem.
No, and I was sad, but I wasn't like crushed.
Yeah,
I agree. But yeah, it's crazy. I'm still waiting. I look every day, and I'm waiting for that. Barzal signs, Pulak signs. I'm looking for all of that.
Yeah, anything at this point.
Yeah, I'll be really excited to see what happens, and I know you'll be on Instagram to tell me about it.
Yeah, definitely. I'll try to be as quick as possible to the news.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for coming on. I hope you enjoyed your time.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and look forward to maybe doing this again sometime.
That'd be great. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you're new here and you came from his channel, if you'd like to drop a like and maybe subscribe, that would be absolutely great. And if you're one of my already made subscribers, go check him out. He's one of the best Islanders news profiles on here. I use him all the time, and I think you'll like him. So guys, thank you everybody, and I will see you next time.